Welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. This episode will be another short one, and what I want to do is I want to make a pasta sauce, just a general purpose, no meat pasta sauce. And the reason I want to do that is later on I want to do some baked ziti, I want to do a baked lasagna, probably a spaghetti dish and some others. And I don't want to take the time in those episodes to make the pasta sauce. So I'm making a video of it, and in those videos I'll just go back and refer to this one. Alright, what are we going to put in it? The first thing I have is I have one 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes and one 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. I have 3 teaspoons of sugar, a teaspoon and a half of thyme, a teaspoon and a half of basil, about a teaspoon of ground beef bouillon, a teaspoon and a half of oregano. I prefer the Mexican oregano, but you can use whichever one you want. 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, and this will be to kind of thicken it up just a little bit. You may want to do that in small batches with a slurry rather than put it all in at once, and that's just simply because it may get too thick for you. I have a teaspoon and a half of garlic powder, a teaspoon and a half of onion powder, and probably about a tablespoon of fresh chopped parsley. Alright, so let's get going. Alright, now let's go ahead and I'm going to add my sugar, my thyme, and my oregano. And we'll start stirring this together. I don't like to put everything in one big clump, because if you put it in a couple of different addings, you don't have to get it clumped up and stir it out quite as much. This was very easy to get it to go even. Now do the oregano, the onion powder, the garlic powder, Now, I want to put in my beef bouillon, and my parsley. Okay, now we've got everything mixed and we've got it blended. It's really pretty simple. At this point, all I need to do is let this come up to temperature, and as you can see, it's already starting to boil. Or at least it's starting to bubble. I wondered how I would like these induction plates when they first came out. And I thought, well, why don't I give it a try? To be real honest, I love it. It allows me to use it instead of having to go over to the stove. It actually, when I compared it heating a similar amount of water, it actually brought it to a boil quicker than my gas range did. The only bad part and the only downside is that you can't use your aluminum pans on it. It has to be ferrous, or in other words, it has to conduct a magnet. It has to be magnetic, as a magnetic field around there is what excites the atoms in the steel and makes it hot, kind of like your microwave does up there. So I'm going to let it sit here for a while, and we'll let it come to a boil. Then we'll put it down and we'll let it simmer for a while. Once we let it simmer, and we're going to simmer it for probably at least 20 to 30 minutes, then we'll be able to taste it, and if we want something else added into it, we can. Now, one thing that you probably noticed is usually I put a teaspoon of salt, in these. I didn't in this case. Why? Well, that beef bouillon that I put in there has plenty of salt in there. And remember, you're thinking about your guests, you don't want it too salty, and you especially don't want people that are on a restricted salt diet, to have to not eat it. So remember your guests, and if we need salt at the end, if it's bland, we'll put it in. But let's leave it out for now. Okay, welcome back. It's heated up nicely. It's been doing some boiling. One thing I want to remind you is, when you look at this, we're not going to need any cornstarch in there. It's plenty thick the way it is. The crushed tomatoes does a real good job of thickening that. But one thing to remember is when you have a very thick type of liquid or material in your saucepan, don't let it get too hot from underneath too quickly, or what it's going to do is it's going to want to boil underneath, and the top's just going to sit there. It'll kind of be like a volcano when the thing comes up. So turn it down, turn it low, take your time, and you won't get a tomato bath. All right, now let's taste it. Like that. That was your tomato volcano. All right, what I want to do, it is a little bland, so I'm going to add a little salt. Not very much, but a little. And I'm going to add a little pepper. Maybe 1/8 quarter teaspoon, something like that. It's always amazing how much just a little salt and pepper, will add to a dish. But I don't like to add it right away because I'm always afraid I'm going to add a little too much. All right. Oh, it makes all the difference in the world. Now, here's my little take on this. What this is this is some just crushed cayenne pepper flakes. Don't put a lot. You don't want to add a lot of heat. You just want to add a little extra flavor to it. All right? So, I think we've got it to where we want it flavor-wise. So let's go ahead and let's turn this down. I'm I'm going to put the lid on it. And we're going to let it simmer for about 20-30 minutes, something like that. That'll also bring out a lot of the flavors, allow them a little time to meld together. Then we'll give it a final taste and see what we need on there. It's another thing I like about induction. The surface, other than under the pan, is cool. So we'll see you in about a half hour. Don't go away. Okay, it's been a half an hour and it's been simmering nicely. I took the lid off. Oh, it smells fantastic. But let's go ahead and we've got to give it a last tasting. And if we need to just change anything, if we need a little extra pepper or something like that, now's the time to do it. You know, I hate to say it, it doesn't need anything. It's absolutely delicious. So, at this point, let's just go ahead and put it into a container. I'm using this large mason jar just simply because if you make this, you can easily seal it and put it in a canner and let it boil for probably 20 minutes or so until it's well pasteurized and everything's, all bacteria is gone on the inside, and just keep it almost indefinitely on the shelf and keep for a year. Just make sure that you check it with if you're going to be leaving it out, make sure you check it with a pH strip. Okay, and there you have it. It's one of the easiest pasta sauces. It's absolutely delicious. You can make a lot of it up if you do a lot of pasta, spaghetti, lasagna, ziti, or any of the others in there. You can make this up in a big batch and either can it or put it in your refrigerator and use it later. So my next video is going to be on baked ziti, and this is exactly what we're going to use on it. So anyway, give it a try. I know you're going to like it. Thanks again for watching. Remember, cooking is always fun. God bless, and thanks for watching. See you next episode.